Ball. I am still the host, Zycon Ebb and Flow. This is my beautiful friend, Jarrett Visher. I think I spelled it right. Is that how you spelled it?
Where is it?
Right here.
No.
No,
No C.
No C. Well, I should have asked beforehand, but it's too late now. We're in it. We're doing the Count It 1, 2, 3 third episode of Iris of RI, the podcast part of this vlogging, whatever thing I'm doing in my life, vlogging podcast, conspiracy research eventually, because I'm going to create another spin-off, probably behind a paywall. You're going to have to pay me for it. Sorry, not sorry, world of Iris of the Eye, where I research the Illuminati and the power structures that be and figure out how to help other people be free of their craziness. But that's neither here nor there. Beside the point, that's it sometime in the near future, maybe. We're doing Iris of RI now. Like I said, this is my homie Jarrett. We met, what is it, 5, 6, 7 months? Has it been that long? Is it longer, shorter?
Longer.
Longer, you think? A year?
8, 9.
8 or 9? Okay. We don't know exactly, clearly, but whatever. The way that I was introduced to this beautiful soul would be through another beautiful soul called Diane Dibrenner, who eventually will hopefully also be on this podcast, through an ayahuasca training that I did. And then Diane's roommate, don't tell me, Maggie, was his principal. Was it middle school?
PE teacher.
PE teacher. That was
in
principal.
Elementary school.
In elementary school. I was off of 2 things. Not bad. And then I was at, was it football? I think it was a football game you came over for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, watching a 49ers game at their humble abode in San Francisco. And then Jarrett came over, and then we played music or talked, and now we're fucking real good friends, I would say.
Yeah.
Qualifies, right?
Yeah. Dan mentioned that you were interested in plant medicine and
Guilty as charged.
that we might have some overlap as musicians, and she was right. we connected.
We did indeed. Do you want to introduce yourself in any way, shape, or form? Let the people know. That's his claim. I don't know if claim to fame is the right way to say it, but he is also a musician, as am I. Besides all the other crazy stuff that I do, but. Sure. Musician, any other forms of art, Jarrett?
High school behavioral coach at Balboa High School in San Francisco. Person interested in psychology, philosophy of how our society's working, the ideologies at play that create our norms, rules, and regulations. Mm-hmm. And if those are regulations that help us be good, happy people, or if they don't, unspoken as well as codified legal norms. Yeah, I'm a full-time human being.
Whatever that means. I mean, same though. I'm not astral projecting, being aliens and UFOs just yet. So yeah, that definitely qualifies.
And I'm starting a music project as well.
Oh, shit, dude. What's it called?
It's called Jarrett and Omar.
Oh, wow. Aptly named.
Yeah. We're bringing more members in currently.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't live in San Francisco, homie. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You would be a great candidate.
I hope so. I'm not. Sometimes I just feel like I'm not clearly, obviously not the best musician of all time, but I feel like I said this earlier today. It's just sort of mediocre at everything, but better than people who are just starting out. In a lot of aspects or venues, it just takes years and years and years to continue to refine yourself.
Yeah, and for me musically, I have a particular preference with who I'm playing with, right. and what I like to do with them, musically.
Every musician seems to.
Yeah, I think we have a unique jam.
I like being. I would describe myself as try to be foundational and just keeping time, because it's crucial for people to be able to really get synchronized with the music, and then because singing is more of what I actually feel like I do musically, that it's being able to maintain the chord structure or like the thing of the song, and then allowing other people to like improvise over that is sort of my thing. Like I can solo, but that's still also a thing that I could like need to spend more time developing too.
Yeah, and I'm a drummer,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my musical preference is to have someone who can develop rhythms alongside myself, and sync up those rhythms and lock in, sort of break out at times, speed up, slow down, that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a particular skill set that some people have and some people are working on or at another level at.
Sure. So there's a rigidness sometimes with it. I'm just gonna start with the questions now.
Yeah.
If you feel. So the first one, the fundamental one for the thing that we're doing here is what is art to you?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question because I've been thinking about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been reading a book called The Creative Act by a famous music producer.
Put it right here for the people to see.
I forget the name of it. I mean the author of it. But it explains how to be an artist.
Oh wait, is it shit? He's a music producer, right? Is it that one?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, bro, I was listening to that earlier. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Keep talking to people. I'll look it up. I'll do the Jamie research.
Okay, so to me, art is
Mark Cuban. I didn't even need to look it up. Haha, I'm cool. But, sorry, completely interrupted you saying your thing.
What is art to me?
Mm-hmm.
I think art is like what I think of art is a little bit of someone's humanity that's expressed through their physical body in some way, as in creating a piece of pottery or a piece of music.
Mm-hmm.
But I think art can be a speech or a social movement or doing paperwork really well. I mean, like, I think it's a piece of someone that we can see through their work.
Mm-hmm.
That we typically admire. Like if it's like, whoa, that's really cool, then I think we admire it some way. It speaks to a deeper element of ourselves that we can see in that work.
Mm-hmm. So there's like a resonance in our consciousness between like the authenticity that they're expressing and what we're feeling into or observing.
Right. It might bring our awareness to an element of ourselves that we're not totally aware of or capable of producing yet, or maybe that we have but that and we enjoy, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Sweet, man. Super deep, super dope. I love that answer. One thing, it was how you said pottery and music. Somebody else had said this recently and it kind of stuck in my brain of there being visual arts and performative arts. So, and I think that those lines can blur. That like if like a potter or a painter was like doing a interactive thing where like people were coming to like watch them, then they were like crossing over and blending the two. But that like specifically that like music or comedy is like this performative, or like acting is a very much performative art form, versus where like the isolated artist who's like slaving away, or like a writer, like I can't like perform that in front of people. No one wants to watch you sit down and write.
Type
like,
it out.
Yeah. Or like if you're trying to stream it, because I've done that before, and like somebody was like coming, like chatting with me, like it would be like take me out of the process of like writing, and I have to like respond and like get to like them. So it's like not something you can really do in a performative way.
Make it like have a piece of music be or performative. Creating music be performative.
No, music is extremely performative.
Right.
Like it's meant to be listened to and experienced in your inner world, but like writing.
I see.
Painting.
Okay.
Painting, at least you can, and like pottery, you could do like be like this is. People could just like walk by your studio as you're doing it.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like sketching something on the side of the road, and people are like, "What are you doing? What are you drawing? Mm-hmm. That's cool, or that's lame," or their whole like experience of your experience. But
yeah, I can see how the lines could blur there.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe you might have been talking with Crystal to make that distinction.
Yeah, I think she was the one who just said it. Yeah, you were correct.
and I also kind of wondered what the distinction was there.
Mm.
And I'm thinking now, hearing you describe it, is that performative is you yourself are doing something, and people are watching you do that, and with a visual, it's like you've already done it. You've already done the work, and you just, people look at it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I guess that's the difference.
Yeah.
Maybe in art school there's like that distinction refined and codified in their education system.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not formally trained in, like, I took music classes in high school and middle school or whatever, or actually really only in middle school, because my high school didn't have music class. It only had like art and like the painting or clay. I think we did clay, and it definitely did clay in high school, because I remember making this like weird like rectangular like thing, and then just using it as an ashtray like years later. But yeah, it's not. Oh no, there's acting too. So that was a drama club. So there's performative there and visual, and the other art. So another question. Oh shit! Yeah, let's do that. Why are you an artist, Jared?
Well, I love playing music, creating music with people, and that process is really intrinsically beautiful and rewarding emotionally. It's really relaxing. It makes me feel a lot of feelings, calm, in a flow. And also I feel often at times that I'm good at it, and so I feel proud of myself for reaching the skill level of a good drummer, or a drummer who's able to make this sounds that sound cool. And maybe to go a little deeper, why am I an artist is I think that's the point a little bit. It feels like a beautiful way of living is to make one's life art. It seems like there's something about that, right? Like that being in a creative process.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're creating your own life or creating something more specific, but it seems like that's kind of just, I don't know, some good feelings associated with that.
Oh, for sure, dude. The quote that comes to mind right now, I don't have the source for it, but it's something I hold near and dear to my heart, that like God, source, the all mind, the one infinite creator, gives you this life, gives you the piece of the first fractal that it is, that you are, that we all are, and then how you live your life is your gift back to it. If that makes sense to you.
Not completely.
No?
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah. It's a super spiritual kind of take, obviously, because not everyone even really like agrees that there is a thing, but that's the veil of free will, is, if you will, that you have when we come down to earth as souls and incarnate and choose to live in duality and experience the separation of the connection to the infinite, that you like sign like a soul contract, I would like to believe. Obviously I won't know until I'm dead and go back or not, one way or the other, because for me, if there is no afterlife, then you have to like, then this life really matters. And if there is an afterlife, the lessons and the reasons that you chose to incarnate, the Pinite, if you will, because that's actually, I made that word up to like come up with the concept of even having like a thing to talk about, like what the fuck I'm describing here, that matters because it's how our souls embody more truth and more light and more wisdom, because you can choose to live, there's probably more, or varying degrees or scales of this thing, but there's like you can choose to live in service to self and just be an egotistical maniac, or you can live to be in service to others and like serve humanity on a greater purpose. However you're helping hold the space in the ceremony yesterday, like that was very much service to others. Like there's obviously some level of where you're getting the validation of like feeling like you're doing the reason that you chose to be a person, right on some level, subconsciously or consciously.
Oh, interesting. That like you're like fulfilling your
life's purpose. Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
More? You want me to continue to pontificate, or like?
Oh, I was thinking about going into the specifics about the ceremony.
It's up to you. Like, this is one of the things that she was describing. Like, the beautiful soul Cassiopeia. She's a sound healer. Check that shit out. Put the thing right here. Blue Muse Healing. Might be .com. Might be .org. I don't actually know. But how she was describing the 2 week thing of like not
withholding.
Yeah, like letting it settle and share. Like I'm always like kind of just being autistically honest, like too much for the surface dwellers at times, especially because being honest and raw and authentic in those settings is super easy a lot of times because you're probably never gonna see those people again a lot of times.
Okay.
So it's weird. It's like almost surface level authenticity, but it's like it still is authentic and real.
Right.
But
like the stakes are lower when you're with people who you might not see again. And
yeah, stakes are definitely lower.
I also have found in the medicine ceremony space it is for some reason I also feel pretty open, like maybe just because we've all gone through such like a deep and emotional roller coaster that we've all kind of the normal conversation stuff and even middle conversation stuff is kind of small and middle fish to fry compared to the big ones that we just were trying to hook them in our in our journey before.
Absolutely, dude. When you're slaying dragons or leviathans, like the groupers and the like sharks are like they're tiny compared to the things you're really doing, like hunting or being hunted by.
Yeah, and I also feel a lot of compassion for myself and others after going through these experiences.
For sure.
Let's save the specifics for another time.
Yeah, it's not. This is like for the common public people on the internet who just like find it over the years and everything. So they're like gonna come back in like a decade when I'm like crazy and famous and traveling around the world doing all the crazy stuff that I'm gonna be doing, and they're gonna be like, "Man, I wish they would have told us the story." But it's like, pay us, pay me, fuck you. You don't need to know. Like they're not part of like the intricate, intimate, like actual like people doing the work in the closest. Like there's like layers of like this chaos onion or like the flower of life symbol that like there's people on the outer peripheries of your life that like it ripples out through like the wave and tapestry of humanity that like they will get some good out of the story, but then like the super intimate details is like between us because we lived it.
Yeah, kind of a self-protective way that we save our like the information about what we've gone through.
It's not notoriety, almost the anonymity. Catalina said that. Like she likes living in like cities and things like that because of the anonymity a little bit, or it's like. So sort of in a way, I feel like what that is what you're describing.
Well, I'm sort of thinking that like, if I were to share my most personal details with everyone who I'm Facebook friends with, that would feel I would feel pretty vulnerable.
You're very exposed.
I would be
exposed.
Yeah, and I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way that we, protect ourselves by
energetically. Yeah,
by being deliberate about who we're sharing our personal lives with.
Absolutely. Trust is a two-way street, and like you can I said this earlier to her too, Catalina, that it's like you got to give people enough rope to hang themselves, and if what they choose to do with that rope, if they're going to tie friendship knots in a stronger bond, they'll do that the way that we had to fucking tie those knots with the 2 half hitches to the fucking truck. Like they're like, yeah, it's like no, people are gonna be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like they don't know because they don't have the intimate details of the story, like that we lived and experienced together. They can piece it together a little bit, but
yeah, it's also nice to have something kind of special or unique to a friendship or
inside jokes.
Yeah,
or just like the fucking
or a small network of people who you're close with, like.
Truly, the inner circle, the intimate, friends that you can call up at fucking 4 in the morning and be like, yo, dude, you want to fly to Colombia and, like, be in this medicine circle I'm holding? Like,
right.
Or does that not work for you? Because you're, like, got a life in San Francisco? Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but I had to even ask. Do you want to go on tour next year? Like, stuff like that, where they can give you enough time to, like, be prepared. And,
right.
And, like, be there or not and, like, figure it out.
Potentially. Could be. I might have time for tours.
Yeah, you better, dude. You better. Like, you gotta fucking... I want to be able to fucking pour all the abundance that I'm getting into your vessel, dog, and, like, have you, like, come up with me for sure. Like as long as you're
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, dude. Like, I don't want to say that you're playing like small ball by wanting to have like a regular job, but I just feel like you're like totally good enough, quote unquote, to like be elevated and be on a like. Because this is a problem that I've had in my life where I feel like I've tried to play small ball or like conform to a story or a standard that limited me in some way, shape, or form, and I didn't even realize it at the time because it's just like social conditioning. But that like right now, I'm trying to live in like absolute absurd abundance.
I hear you.
You good?
Yeah, I'm trying to refigure out this weighted blanket situation, which I think I'm succeeding in. Yes, oh yes, I'm gonna be so heavy. Oh gosh.
Chords, jeez Louise, dog.
This is awesome.
I'm gonna have to edit that out, maybe.
What? That was a that was a golden moment.
Primo, dude, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in.
Jarrett stands up and review.
Get situated. Alright, so do you feel like you have any grasp or concept on the telos, which is Aristotelian or Aristotle, I believe, Greek philosophical concept of the function or purpose or end game is another way I could describe it of your art? Like, do you feel like you have an aim? Do you feel like there's a target you're aiming at, or is it just for the Fukenschlaust of just like the process of like making cool shit for fun?
Oh yeah.
Which it can be both.
Thank you for that technical question. I love telos.
I just like seeing telos because I'm gonna make my own weird. I'm gonna throw an A in there and be like, this is my version of the thing that was already existing.
Side tangent. I think that's very creative and artistic of you to make your own words.
It's there's not many coinologists or wordsmiths out there anymore. Like, cause language is like how we're like trapped a lot of the time. So if I can like be like, yeah, my name is Zyke-on, and here's this letter that I created that didn't exist before, and I'm gonna like, in some way, shape, or form, brainwash my children into like learning this fucking version of English and Spanish and all the other languages. Where I'm gonna be like, "Buenas noches, Slav shun," and they're gonna be like, "Why are you speaking two languages to me right now, Dad? Like, why can't you just be a normal person and just speak one?" And it's like, because I am an exceptional person and I'm utterly and completely unique, which is what makes me exactly like everybody else. Because we're all that.
But Dad, I'm getting bullied.
Oh my god! I'm like, dude, trust me, your trauma is gonna make you even cooler. I promise. Like the girl I dated before I married your mom, like she said that shit and she was right. Telos.
Telos of art.
Your telos.
Make something that sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, always,
preferably, right?
Yeah, I mean. Well, okay. Actually, I want to make something that people enjoy. People who are listening to what this music I'm making is, they want to move in their bodies, they want to rock out, they want to feel energized, and just, I want them to get their, like, that fucking, like
that groove, dude.
Yeah, or maybe get funky, or maybe like, oh shit, this is, like, raising my consciousness. Like, I want them to feel a variety of good emotions, to be taken on a journey to a better place in an enjoyable way.
Nice.
I've experienced those things listening to good music myself. I've experienced it playing music with others and listening to my own music, and I think creating this an emotional experience that will really heal someone, make them feel really good, and that is evocative is what I'm looking for, going for.
Nice.
In my music.
Muy bien. Muy bien. The first podcast that I did with my book mentor Marquise, he said, or he incepted or implanted the seed in my consciousness of like the potential or the idea that music is the purest form of art, because it, at least specifically instrumental music, because it translates emotions through pure sound, which I don't know. How does that feel for you?
That resonates. The vocal frequency of your voice.
Oh no.
And the meaning I'm intuiting behind it is causing my body to vibrate. I don't know. I get what you're saying. Yeah, music, I think there's a deep connection we have with sound and music, and maybe it has to do with our vocal frequencies, like how we communicate vocally with each other, and how other animals are communicating. There's something built in our DNA and our primal consciousness which is responsive to sound in this way.
You hear a tiger roar and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna die.
You feel fear.
Yeah.
So I think there's some ancient correspondence there, and yeah, I mean, in my life, more than I see, feel evoked, seeing like beautiful images.
A lady.
A lady. Oh, well, that's pretty evocative.
Super evocative for sure.
That's true. Yeah, I think.
But that's primal too, in a way, shape, or form.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, and I think there's so much ability within music to create a variety of emotions that, yeah, I just see there's so much potential in it.
For shout out. All right, yeah, we'll move into this one. What do you feel like was your biggest, most influential musician or artist that like inspired you or like gives you just a feeling of, fuck yeah, I love this stuff. I love this shit.
It's gonna be 3 people come to mind. The current person I'm building a musical group with, his name's Omar Roca, guitarist, bassist.
Shout out to Omar, you dope, bro.
Second is a gentleman who I met before then. Why am I blanking on his name? Well, we've fallen out of touch. He was a really talented guitarist, and his skill level was really inspirational. I'll talk about Omar. What is the question what it was like inspirational about?
Oh yeah, like more. I was kind of aiming like when I think of like inspirations, like the people that you listened to growing up to like get you to like where you are stylistically.
Yeah, I took that question more like.
But if it does, yeah, whatever, however you feel. There's no for me unless you're completely like talking about something that isn't even related to the question. I don't feel like there's really a wrong way to interpret questions. I like asking questions that are kind of like open and weird into interpretation to like see how it like lands in other people's brains.
Yeah, I'll talk about what playing with Omar is like and how that's inspirational and motivating, because I honestly don't have a lot of memories like listening to one band and like being like, oh shit, this is like changing my life. I just listened to a lot of music and kind of just passively
absorbed
took it in. Yeah, I didn't go too far deep into the meaning it was having in my life. But with Omar right now, it's really cool to build a relationship with someone where there's personal intimacy, like we'll chat in our jams just about our lives and what's going on, and a lot of acceptance in that conversation between us. Feels really, good, connected, powerful. But then we continue to have that intimacy when we start playing music together. There becomes an emotional dynamic of me playing some notes, and he'll play notes in the pocket after that, and we'll trade, and then we'll.
So when I hear that, I think of like the Allman Brothers, kind of, a little bit.
Okay.
Specifically, Blue Sky was that song? Maybe it's Blue Sky by them. I think it might be, yeah.
We'll slow down together. We'll play an odd note at an odd time to make a certain point to each other. It's like a conversation that carries a lot of fun and liveliness to it. And I love being able to communicate with him in this way, and to create something together. And I find having that available and being part of that is super, like seeing the level of joy that has come with this connection, how the well-being I feel during and after, and has really inspired me to keep playing.
Awesome. And did you say there's a third person?
Oh, that's yourself, second.
Oh, damn it. Shit. You got me. You got me. I wasn't ready for that one. So this one was not a question that Marquise came up with. It was somebody. I was talking to this chick at this bar that I went to. There's that kid who was also supposed to come to that ceremony, but he would have had a, what was it? He probably would have flipped the way that Gina flipped, or had a crystallizing moment, which is how I was describing that woman in the training.
What with her? Is she
Not for the people.
okay?
But just we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I just wanted you to know that that dude Tony
Might have had a similar
yeah,
thing.
probably definitely
Okay.
would have had a little struggle with his inner demons.
I see.
But the reason I brought that up was because I went to a show with him at this band called the Happies, and when I was talking to this random chick at this bar who like we were just having fun, validating each other, not really like wasn't gonna lead anywhere. Deep and meaningful, super deep and meaningful was she asked me if AI art is real art. So like I want to pose that question to you because I was like, fuck, is it real art? Like ChatGPT, like because I don't think personally I'm not asked this question and I answered a little bit. Apologies to no one who really cares or people who were like, yo, that's such an irk, but I don't think ChatGPT could come up with the book that I'm writing. Silly Simon. Like I just and you could how you had the amount of like prompting you would have to get it to get to the level of detail and creativity that like my channel is like putting out when I'm writing. Like they just would be so convoluted and so complex. It would probably take you longer to like get it to the point of like it's taken me like 4 years to write this because I wasn't being consistent in the beginning. But like it would take you longer than 4 years to get ChatGPT to write it into the level of depth that I've written.
To like train it to reproduce what you're writing.
Right. I don't even think you could because of just how like psychedelically infused it is. Personally, but
okay, like maybe there's not the level of or language associated with the experiences you've had available on the internet for ChatGPT to draw from to create the work you're talking about?
Well, so I think the archetypal or the memes are there, like the ideas of like trolls or yetis or dragons, like that exists on the internet for ChatGPT to pull from, but like coming up with the names and like meeting the human beings or like the pets of the human beings that like gave me the names of the characters or like just like infusing the characters into the certain environments that they're like supposed to be in, so the main character gets like the knowledge or like powers that he needs in the timeline or story arc of the thing to like progress the story. Like I would just feel like all those things exist. Telepathy on the internet, the fucking the tundra or Antarctica, like these places are already places, and it could like maybe eventually, but it would just the meaning or I don't know because I obviously don't exactly know how the AI is like even coming up with it.
Right.
I'm more thinking of like visual art because I know there's also AIs that are creating like sound bites for like music and stuff too. I just feel like the writing part, like how people are using it to like write and cheat, quote unquote cheat at like college and stuff.
Yeah.
Like for research papers, I guess it kind of could be a thing, but for specifically like a creative, fictional work, at least specifically with what I'm doing of like trying to like weave in as much non-fiction like things into it, well, whether after I put it in like a metaphor or allegory, like it would just I don't feel like an AI could do that, like at least not well yet, maybe in another like 5 to 10 20 years or something. But
yeah,
just to answer my own question, sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I think it is art. I think it's deep because someone has not gone to the store, gotten painted on a canvas, and then put it in an art gallery, and then said that's art. Like that's what we might think of an art piece, right? If you use ChatGPT or AI, then you're using complex computer algorithms to draw from a huge body of source material to based on some inputs you put in, creating some piece of visual art. So it's like a different process, and the result might be similar visually. I think there is humanness in the fact that humans created these algorithms, and it's drawing from material that has been inputted into the system by humans, right? but it's I think a more complicated process, and I can see where the element of cheating idea might come from, where it's not, you're not the one pushing the brush to make the brush strokes, and I think it lacks this like effort and more direct connection with the material that I think we often associate with art.
Yeah, just the more competent it becomes, it's going to be hard it's already pretty difficult to distinguish what's like an AI voice or what's a human voice. And like I can only do it now because I've listened to so many like AIs reading like prompts of like the synopsis of a story of the kind of YouTube videos that I've watched. But yeah, in the beginning, I was like, especially when they're like really good and it wasn't like making any mistakes. I was like, couldn't even really tell if they thought it was a person. And then I watched a different channel and I was like, oh, this is the exact same voice, but it's like, this is definitely a robot. Damn.
Right. Yeah, and it's really impressive AI audio, AI creating. It can do so much. I am applying to grad school, and I put in my application statement of purpose, like a 4-page essay saying why I was applying to this to a graduate program or a doctorate program. And then what I said was, hey, ChatGPT, change this essay to fit this prompt instead. And then I pasted the prompt for a master's program. And it did a phenomenal job, where I actually, when I started creating the master's program essay, I used elements of the new material, and it can, if you just type in a question like, "Give me 5 reasons why climate change is bad," it'll give you 5 really good reasons. Anyway, I'm just kind of amazed on what ChatGPT and other AI can do.
Yeah, I used I think it's called Wally is the version of one of the AI things that in the cover art for the thumbnails and the podcast art. There's the face of the face of God, quote unquote, or goddess that I paid an artist to make, and then there's a little like circle, like either a vortex or a fractal that you could just put in like a purple fractal like vortex thing into the AI prompt, and it just like created it, and I was like, yeah, I'll use that. It looks dope.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like it translated the desire in the words through the internet and all the other artists that have already put the images that it took to. Cause like how does it make it, man? Like, is it just like
I think
just pixels like?
Well, yeah, it's like typing in a Google search like purple vortex, and instead of giving you a bank of images that you could draw from it, it's using an algorithm to combine them into like an amalgamated.
Bro, that's such a trip, man. It really is. Sheesh, dude, the future is now. The future is now.
It's crazy. I'm so. But I also think there's some fear around AI and ChatGPT.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Terminator, and all the other movies that give it a bad rap.
Or just with ChatGPT, like a worry about students losing their ability to do research.
What I will say on that is just the entire, the British Empire standard system that I think they even just took it from the Prussian system of schooling, of just basically make people regurgitative information receptacles. That phase of human knowledge is dying.
Yeah.
The internet, you just need to know where to find the information and how to translate it to other people.
That's a great
point. They can understand it.
That's a great point. So maybe that's one positive outcome of ChatGPT is less reliance on, or maybe a potential shift in our education system.
I hope so. Truthfully, is it's the old model Prussian or British or the fuck is that guy? Not Carnegie, but Rockefeller. They just were like, cookie cutter factory workers who just respond to authority the way that the bell system and the whole
right.
you can't go or do anything unless the fucking teacher says you're allowed to do it.
Right.
Everything's insubordination because you're just a rebel. Like
right.
Me.
An industrial model of education.
Yeah. Yeah, not great, not fun. So we got like 15 more minutes here, so I think we got time for a couple more questions. Do you want to talk about what your experience with a muse, like an influence of like how do you feel like the improv or the channeling of information like comes into your consciousness and how you translate it out through your fingers? Because I remember you saying like you hear, for me at least, I hear the sounds and then like my fingers are like, how do I translate this? I like.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
To me, it's like having a song in my head that I want to make into reality.
Mm-hmm.
Same with drumming. I'll have like basically I'll try to actualize the sounds I'm imagining happening, or how I'm imagining the song going. I try to actualize that with my body by playing the notes.
But where do you feel like that's coming from, I guess, might be a better way to, like, say it? Is it because I can only speak for myself, that, like, I've had, it's like a ringing, or, like, an communique, or a download of some type of information from what very much feels as, like, an aspect of myself, but is, like, beyond my physical and mental, emotional, like, body here, like, just come in and give me entire like song lyrics or like tunes. So like, does that happen for you, or is it like just, I don't know how it like, how it is, man.
So like, where does my like inspiration,
like,
or
where's the creativity to like come up with the melodies? Because you were playing, I think it was either this morning or last night on the guitar, and I remember I heard a couple different like melodies or tunes or like phrases that I'm like, oh, I've heard these in other songs, but he's like trying to put them together in a way that's like slightly different, or like a different pattern but similar. Like I've remember like trying to do something that was like basically just the intro to When September Ends, and my friend's like, bro, it's just, I can just tell it's like Green Day, like what are you doing? Like I can just tell that you're stealing, and I can tell, so you're not a great artist, you're only a good artist. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess like to be the best artist, you would be like a completely uncivilized human being who just finds a guitar in the woods and then
impossible
learns how to make music themselves
with your bows and arrows. My homie Rune, who I work with at the sandal factory or the sandal spot, he said that. He's like, yeah, I was tripping on mushrooms this one time, and I saw that like how music kind of got its like feel and start in like hunting and gathering, or dudes like just out there like bullshitting in the fucking woods, like strumming their fucking bows and arrows, and I was like, I guess that kind of makes sense, dude, because like where else are you
twang.
Yeah, dude, like where else are you get strings and shit like going on in nature besides in bows and arrows? Like that makes a lot of sense actually. Like just some caveman shit, and like sticks and drum. Use two sticks to make it in the nature. Fucking throw up the fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers song, like whatever song that is, I don't even know. Wish I knew, but
I'm not quite sure what the question is and how to answer.
Yeah, me neither, man. I just like I like, so I've literally had my muse wake me up or like come to me in my dreams and like sit there like play some sick ass song, and I'm like, that's fucking dope, and she's like, oh yeah, it's yours, but like you haven't written it yet, and I'm just like, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, no, I fantasize about playing really beautiful guitar and rocking out on drums.
We'll do it. It's happening. The future's now.
Yeah. I think if you can imagine it, there's like it's probably within your potential.
No, it definitely is. Your daemon, your fucking not illusionatory, but like the potentiality of like you becoming the future self that you see, and like you had a crazy, profound experience of that in the ceremony yesterday. But
I also think that, hot take coming out here.
Oh no.
That the music we're attracted to is at our growth edge.
Ooh.
Artistically, musically. I noticed that the drummers, the music I listen to all has drummers who are really talented, and also who are in the same style that I like to play, like rock mostly.
True.
So like, there might be some more like quote unquote talented drummers that I come across in like jazz or Latin music, but I'm just not as attracted to them. I think because my own skill set is not quite there, or my own interest is not there as well.
Too far out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because like you're not gonna give, like if this metaphor like hopefully translates with the thing I'm trying to talk about, like you're not gonna give a 5-year-old like a fucking what's that, like pre-calculus or a calculus question, because they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
Right. You don't even know.
They're gonna be like, Hares, try this multiplication problem, where it's like just far enough outside of something they already have a grasp on, where they can grow and like shift and be like, I'm finding it on the ledge of knowing. I can grab that thing from the unknown and pull it into the known.
Right. It might be a little more relatable or approachable to have it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed.
Cool.
Okay. Sure. So these ones might be related. I feel like they're a little bit. It's like two-parter. Does spirituality, quote unquote, or religion play a part in your artistic pursuits? And are you in your starving artist phase, or are you past that? Yeah.
I say spirituality or religion. Was religion in there?
Yeah, spirituality or religion play a part in your artistic pursuits.
Oh, kind of. I mean, so I've seen how music can be used in churches to
resonate.
Yeah, create a collective feeling to get people going. And one of my own visions is to create a secular, science-based community that teaches ethical principles based on psychological research, and also has music involved. Basically, like church, all the good parts of church, without the organized religion, or what I see is inaccurate.
The dogma.
The part of the Bible which is like not accurate in my opinion. Like there's a lot of sound moral teachings in the Bible, I believe, but I think it's within the context of like.
What's the history of, at least when it was brought into like the Western world, it's just become interwoven with like the power structures of like Rome, literally, like the eastern side of it died or whatever, like got conquered, and like the western part that became the Byzantine Empire and like became the Catholic Church, like they just continued, like the Empire of Rome just became a religion. Like the Vatican is still like the Roman like empire. It might have like shrunk, but it's still like got all the people that are kind of like, I'm a Catholic. Like,
right. So there is the organized religion, dogma, that side of things. I'm looking like more directly at the scripture and looking at the how.
Literal versus allegory kind of thing.
Yeah, like in the let's say take I think they're the parables, the beginning of the Old Testament, set of
the Hebrew Bible. Yeah.
Set of recommendations for living.
Oh, like the Ten Commandments?
No, it's like I think they're the parables.
Okay. I'm just so ignorant.
And it's like God is going to, you will burn, you will die if you sleep with your neighbor's wife. So I don't think that's totally accurate. Like that you're gonna die.
Right.
Probably not. I mean, his neighbor's husband might kill you.
Right.
Or your neighbor might kill you,
right,
or something.
But the jealous man. The wife of a jealous man, yeah.
Or your wife might kill you.
Sure, she could. She
right.
could also come at you with a knife in the back, yeah.
Right, but I think like what that's pointing to is that within a society, you might have covetousness feelings for someone, and it's a wise choice of action to hold those in check, right? Like that's kind of, I don't know, I'd say like the core of that story or that phrase. And I'm thinking, okay, within that core we can replicate that core idea without the God part of it, without the thy neighbor part of it. We can just get it into a more current vocabulary, and also incorporate psychological research that talks about pro-social behavior and healthy psychological functioning. And if we incorporate, speaking of ChatGPT, one of the ideas I've had in this topic is to I know we're getting towards time.
No, you're good. Just keep going.
Is to do what I just said. So basically, catalog not only the Bible but other religious texts, and put that information in ChatGPT. Ask and then see if ChatGPT can extract the understanding of God. Basically, sort of rework the literature to extract those core principles, and then utilize psychological research to explain them, to validate or disconfirm those elements. When I only say like bring religious texts is because religion is such like a integrated part of people's lives and a source of moral teachings for many, and so I think just working with what we've got, that might be a place to start.
Yeah, have you any change or deviation from how things are in the present moment? Is just you still need to pay homage or root your changes in some type of tradition, I feel. Whether that be plant medicine ceremonies from the Amazon rainforest, or the Judeo-Christian values that Western civilization is built upon, and that like one of the reasons I feel like there's so much turmoil and tumult in the present is because of how far we've deviated from, and think that we can just completely disconnect from the roots of our ancestors, and that it's not going to kill the tree of life that is our way of life. Because there's only, I don't know, the more free people become, it's like you need to still be disciplined to allow for maximum freedom. Like you still need a routine, and like to be eating well and taking care of your body and your psychology, because like if you're just partying 24/7 and never sleeping, like you're eventually going to see the sleep demons and they're going to get you.
Okay, are you talking about the need for these moral teachings?
Well, yeah, the moral teachings are like this psycho-spiritual aspect, because there's like a level of it where it's like it's just thought control, like the shaming tactics of the Catholic Church, to like, because part of it is like structuring society so that it functions well, and then everyone like plays by a set of rules that like works for most people, or because there's always like technically there's always just for permanently been oligarchy in some way, shape, or form. Truthfully, like they try to mask it or like call it something new or different, like mercantilism, capitalism. Like there's still just like billionaires calling the shots, paying the politicians off, like doing their whole like game of like NASCAR, but like not wearing the fucking who's the sponsors that like are bought and paying for, and like corrupt, and like James O'Keefe has literally like proven that they're like basically having sex parties and like orgies to like be able to blackmail people and like keep them hush hush. And like there's a thing in DC that's like they recommend how you vote, but everyone like knows that's like if you're in the gray party of like the pedophiles, that like this is the way that you're supposed to follow and toe the line of the military industrial complex, and that the powers that be like have their like agenda, the narrative that like it keeps people small and conformed, and like religion is on some form a lever of control or a dial that they can manipulate and use to keep people like in line and not change the system too much to benefit too many people, because the people that are already like benefiting from it have the wealth and power and are insulated from all of the chaos that they control or use to manipulate, and the have-nots, the haves, and the have-nots. It's a really tough double-edged sword, because like it's the better problem to have, like not having enough money versus having too much money. Like everyone would choose to have too much money, so like we all in some way, shape, or form envy or desire to be like the wealthy, but like you want to do it without feeling like you're selling your soul or putting on the golden handcuffs. At least I do personally, where like I'd want it for the aspect of just being able to be free and travel and do and help and evolve the collective consciousness, but like I don't want to like have to like do something where I'm like how Dave Chappelle like he accidentally like signed a contract that's like the people in Hollywood like own his likeness, and like he can't ever do the Chappelle show again because they own that concept and that thing of him, and like he said like he had to walk away from like a $50 million deal of like it's like half of the amount of money that I want for myself, or like what could have the assets of like double that or equivalent money. It's just It's rough, man. It's rough. Like it's definitely gonna be like a bottom up renaissance, not a top down elite manipulation game that I perceive in the shifting of the future. How because we're still. The government's still run on a piece of paper that's like 200 some years old, and we have the ability. I have the ability to call someone in Australia right now and like communicate with them. Like we're living. There's things need to change and be upgraded to a level where more people can have more of the power. We gotta dilute the power.
What I'm trying to provide in this idealistic, like sort of like secular church environment, is an opportunity, is a way for people to get the benefits of religion, community, moral teachings, ethics, other feelings, purpose beyond themselves, etc. In a way that is more directly designed to provide those things. Because I think we've gotten a lot better than what we thought about human well-being and society in the last 2,000 years. So I think we can do it a lot better now using modern research and understandings.
For sure, man. I think...
And music's gotten better. So.
It's like the technology has advanced to a level where we can make incredible stuff way easier just in the comfort of our own bedroom. But yes, and I think that it's like... There's definitely got to be a different word for it. Not so much an ism, but just a completely different phrase to describe it, because secular for me is not a dirty word per se, but to separate spirituality from it is like religion is too much of like thought control, because for me being religious is like you have the things that you do every day, like how I did that prayer before we ate, like that's something that I try to do like every day, at least once a day. Like don't try to at least say thank you before I eat if I'm not going to do like the full prayer.
Right.
Because that's like a spiritual practice. It's not but it's also religious because I do it every day, but it's not a religion because it's not permeated more past other people than just myself.
I think using the metaphysical belief system of Christianity, I don't know too much about this, but like the different branches of Orthodox, Catholic, whatever. I think just not without a lot of understanding here that a lot of the metaphysical belief system is like behave well in this life to reach a successful afterlife.
That's definitely a thought control for sure.
Based on, and let's say a downside of that is that if we think we're going to live after this life, we can kind of say, oh, this life doesn't really matter, I got another one. I'm not making the best choices, but if I die early, it just starts the next one sooner, so so it's so okay.
Funny, dude. I've never even thought about it that way.
I've heard people say this, I got pregnant and this has caused a negative impact in my life, and I probably care more about this, but I've got my afterlife, so I'm all right.
Yeah, karma will catch up with people who don't see that longevity and eternity like has a checks and balances built into it, I think.
Okay, so I'm saying operating within this belief that some people within Christianity have adopted.
It's like not skirting, but like it's a slippery slope. They're riding a slippery slope and not really living with integrity, I guess, in a way.
Well, they're not living as well as they could, in my opinion. Like I think that based on my understanding of psychology, that there's not going to be an afterlife. I think that when our brain stops functioning and neurons stop functioning, it's over. You
should do any type of research into near-death experiences and all that stuff.
I have.
You really think that every single person who's said the similar story of like being like, yeah, dude, I saw the light, or however they experienced the trip back into the DMT realm, is just bullshitting, and it's just the lights go off and that's it.
I think in those instances where people recall after coming back that they've gone down a hallway and whatever, their brain is actually still functioning. during the minutes where they're having these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, my opinion, based on what I've understood from my investigation, is that no afterlife. And I'm open to debate on that. Let's do the research. I'm using this as an example of one part of Christianity.
Spiritual belief or belief in general?
Yeah, one's metaphysical belief system. Christianity has the one I just described, that can be suboptimal for well-being. And so I'm wanting to identify these principles that we're operating within, see if they're accurate, and then see which ones do a better job of allowing us to live happy lives.
I hope.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I hope that you're wrong. I can't say that I know that you're wrong because I haven't died and come back or what have you. I would prefer it to not be so because I firmly believe that like the Egyptian mythology kind of thing of like having your soul weighed against the feather truth, or the way that my friend described it, that like you move on and your higher self, or the thing that's like translating God's infinity to your consciousness, sits down with you and goes over the film reel of like every time that you like fucked up and like made a mistake, or like things that you could have done better, and then like you really like go over the nitty-gritty details of like the life lessons that you learned, and like go over the soul contract of like, yeah, this is why you like incarnated, and these are the things that you like did well, and these are the things you didn't do well, and like here's where you could have done better and made a different life choice, but you chose to like stay small and live in fear, and could have played a bigger, more impactful role. Like here was this other potential timeline, and you can like look at it, and then you can like go and like talk with all your ancestors, or like the parts of the fractal that are doing their part in your like smaller, your aspect of the tapestry of web of life. But I would just prefer that over it not continuing after. But I think also the potential of like,
me too.
The potential of even if you think that it doesn't, that's just you going completely dissolving into the void, because I think the void was what was originally, there was nothing, and then it somehow the void itself became conscious of that there was nothing, and then it just started creating to fill the void in itself. So that like if you holding that belief of like there isn't one, your identity will completely dissolve, go into the void, and then at some point will be recycled and reintroduced back into creation.
Well, okay, so here's another thought here, is that the consciousness is an intrinsic part of the fabric of our reality, of our universe.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we're talking to each other, I'm having this experience of talking to you, and that's a physical chemical process of the universe that's just happening here inside my brain. And so knowing that this process is, in my opinion, created in terms of self-awareness and what we call like our conscious experience through our neural circuitry, doesn't mean that some form of consciousness is not possible without that neural circuitry. That, I mean, I think it's unlikely, but maybe somehow within the fabric of our reality, structured in another way. Let's say when we dissolve and integrate into the, I mean, I think ourselves, what we call Jarrett and Evan, are going to be long gone, but I think that consciousness will still exist in the universe in some form, potentially.
Yeah, it's I definitely come from the perspective that like we're souls having a human experience, not humans with souls. That like the aspect of the first fractal that we're all just a fucking infinite part of is just that there's a light body that the soul resides in as like a vessel or a vehicle, the Merkaba, which is from I don't know where the Jews stole it from, or if they like originally the ones who originally channeled it into the consciousness of humanity, but that the Merkaba is overlaid on top of the physical body, and then like when the physical body ceases, that it separates and is returned to, I can only describe the DMT realm, truthfully, because it's so beyond the understanding of the finite human capacitor resistor system. That's the way I want to describe it. And then we can continue this after we're done recording, but we're over time pretty strongly here.
Got it.
So hopefully I can edit it down to 1 hour, so it'll be easier for me to upload. But the final question is if it's actually perfect that we were just describing like what the fuck happens after death. If we were to die, thing ends, like I hit the end button and we both just had aneurysms and stopped being. What would you want the rest of humanity to like take away or like have as like their nugget of like life-changing wisdom to be able to like integrate into their lives and be better people, be more fulfilled, be more whole?
Well, I'd want them to see the part of humanity that I'm about to share now, which is that, which is what I shared at the ceremony as well, is that I've been impressed with your personhood, and how you've been showing up in spaces and being in contact with people and being with myself, and I've been impressed with you recently, Evan, and it makes me really happy to see you setting goals for yourself and then taking the steps to reach them. Like you're walking the walk, brother.
Talking the talk. Practicing what I preach.
And I think that's awesome and inspirational.
Thank you, Jarrett.
Yeah.
I would say that routine is critical to doing that, and that I said that to Catalina a bunch of times, and I hopefully was able to distill it in a way that she kind of got a better grasp of it, that like how you do one thing is how you do everything, that you can got to be congruent in your personality to the best of your ability in every arena of your life. Because for me, the sloppier that I become, or the when I start to cut corners and not move with integrity and authenticity and like legitimate like gumption and like chutzpah, that like it just all starts to fall apart. I start forgetting where I put things, and I just like start to get more icky or funky with the way that I communicate with people, or like stop having empathy and like start like lashing out and like allowing my pain body or my inner demon Bastille to like take over and like inflict pain, because hurt people. So move with integrity, love yourself, and the depth with which you're able to love yourself is how much love in depth that you can share with the rest of the world, is the thing that I'm going to end on. Jarrett.
Word.
Thank you so much. Udabomb.com, baby.
You too.